Good afternoon and welcome to our first annual Southern Columbia Area Athletic Hall of Fame banquet. For those of you that don't know me, Beth Begley, the Hall of Fame president. What a tremendous group of athletes, all 13 inductees today, more than they're deserving to get into this. And we're just happy to be able to put this on as a small token of the appreciation for what all the inductees have done to make Southern Columbia athletics and just the district at large what it is today. Obviously last year we had the COVID unfortunate events of that, and I know some people in here were affected by that, so prayers out to everybody with that, but we're just happy we're able to get this thing going. So as the president, I just have a small role. I couldn't have done this without our other committee members, so I'd like to give everybody, because I know they don't want it, but a round of applause for what they've done to help put this on. And I'll let the more professional speaker here, the legendary Jim Doyle, Hall of Fame Vice President, take it over from here. And as he's walking up here, I just wanted to let everybody know that there is, some of you still live in the area, but there's still housing in Elysburg, Catawissa, and Numidi areas that we can get some of these younger kids back and relive in mom or dad's shoe steps. So feel free to move back.
Thank you, Dave. Great to be here today. You know, I thought that there would be a day when I would be in the Southern Columbia Athletic Hall of Fame. Not as an athlete, because I wasn't one, and I was a Berwick graduate, so I'm not really eligible, but I thought I would come here as a coach. I thought I would be inducted as a coach. And when Charlie Nesbitt was the athletic director, we'll hear about him a little bit later, he asked me to be the 9th grade basketball coach, and I was thrilled. I was thrilled. My father was a very successful coach, and I was going to be one too. I was going to set this school, this area on fire. Our first game was at Lord's Regional. This is a 9th grade basketball team, and I was psyched. I practiced this pregame talk for weeks, and it was a beauty. I wish I had a copy of it to give to you. It was tremendous. I had these kids standing in the locker room, waiting to go out the court at Lord's Regional, and we were going to kick some serious Lord's Regional butt. And I brought them to a crescendo. I had this great speech, and I could see the fire in their eyes. I could see the sweat forming. My only concern was how much I was going to have to pay Lord's Regional when they broke down the door, running out onto the court. And then I made one mistake, just one mistake. I said, "Any questions?" In the back. "Tony, Coach, on the way home, can the bus drop me off in Paxinus?" What a buzzkill. Everything I had preached, everything I'd built up to, down the drain. The team walks out the court. We get pounded. In fact, it's late in the first half. We haven't scored yet. I'm thinking, oh my God, no one gets shut out in basketball. And then late in the half, one of my guys is at the foul line, and the shot looks way off the mark, but it banks in for our first point of the season. I hope the nuns that were in attendance weren't offended when I went like this, because I was sure that there was divine intervention involved in that point. Well, at halftime, I made some brilliant offensive adjustments. We scored 7 points in the second half. We lost 52-8. And obviously, I'm not headed for the Southern Columbia Athletic Hall of Fame as a coach. But I'd like to introduce you to the committee that Dave mentioned. You met the president, Beth Begley, Jen Stein, our secretary, Nick Fleming, our treasurer, other members, Terry Steiner, Bill Hoffner, Sue Stone, Alan Cox. Unfortunately, Ted Yeager couldn't be with us. And we had another member of the original committee, unfortunately, passed away in January. That would be Terry Shower. Boy, Terry was Southern Columbia true and true. He's from the class of 1963, first class in the new building. He was a teacher for 37 years. He was a coach. He was an athletic director for a long time. Ardent supporter of sports at Southern Columbia, and just one of the best people you will ever meet. So if you would, just bow your heads for a moment. We'd like a moment of silence for Terry Sharrow. Thank you. And by the way, Terry's family has established a scholarship in his name. Will go to a Southern Columbia student every year to contribute. You can send your check to the high school office. Make it out to the Terry Sharrow Memorial Scholarship. And in addition, starting next spring, the Hall of Fame Committee will present an award to a male and female athlete, the multi-sport athlete with the highest GPA, and that will be in Terry's name as well. So his name will always be with us. Well, I can't wait to hear about and from the inductees in this first event, and we'll do that after we eat, and before we eat, the invocation from Alan Cox.
Thank you, Jim. Please bow our heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to gather again as the Southern Columbia community does with so much joy in your name. We gather today in remembrance and celebration, and also to reflect upon the talents you have given us and that we have enjoyed through the sports program over the years. We are assembled here today to celebrate the participation and successes of the athletes and coaches and the guidance and direction of our athletic directors. Lord, you have looked down upon us with favor and spread the blessings of your love over these individuals through the joy of participation in athletics. Remember and watch over all in the community, especially those that are sick or in need of healing. Let us also remember those who are no longer with us in the flesh, but are here with us today spiritually. Heavenly Father, please bless the hands of those who have prepared this meal for us today. Please bless this food as we eat and drink, remembering our accomplishments. Let our past guide our future endeavors. In your name we pray. Amen.
If I get out your attention, please. I think everyone's had a chance at dessert. We'd like to get started with the program. Before we go to the first inductee, I would like to urge everyone in here to contribute and nominate people. I'm sure many of you know someone who you feel is worthy of being in the Southern Columbia Area Athletic Hall of Fame. We have nomination forms on here at the desk. You can get one at the school. You can go on the school's website, go to athletics, and then go to Athletic Hall of Fame. But just fill out the form, give us as much detail as you can about the person that you think is worthy. We'll be glad to consider it, because the committee will be looking at names very shortly after this great event tonight for next year's Athletic Hall of Fame. So we'll get started.
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Not to forget that we include Catawissa, Roaring Creek.
Oh, yes.
Pittsburgh.
Yes. If you go way back, it's not just Southern Columbia, it's the schools that joined to form Southern Columbia as well. So if you know someone from way back, we appreciate that as well. Our first inductee is actually, as much as she was a great coach, she was a pioneer for high school girls sports at Southern Columbia. Frida Dallis was hired as a physical education teacher at Southern Columbia in 1963. At that time, the school had no girls sports. She introduced and coached field hockey, basketball, and softball. Originally, the schedules for those sports weren't very extensive because there just weren't other schools in the area that had girls sports. But Frida started those three, and she was really instrumental in the development of girls sports, not just in Southern Columbia, but in the entire area. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say any female athlete who puts on the uniform for her school, this entire area, owes a debt of gratitude to Frida Dallas. As a coach, she was terrific. How about 303 wins in field hockey and 303 wins in girls basketball? And then in softball, she was 123-65, 729 career wins for Frida. And also, besides the wins, she held her athletes to a higher standard when it came to academics, when it came to behavior. In 1977, she coached the Tiger field hockey team to the state finals. That was the first Southern Columbia team in any sport to go that far. They finished that season with a 21-1 record. In 1991, her team reached the state semifinals. She was inducted into the Romanowski chapter of the Pennsylvania State Hall of Fame in 1992. Frida Dallas died on March 17, 2013 at age 74. Two members of our committee played for her, and they are going to tell you about what it was like to be one of Frida's girls, Sue Stone and Terry Steiner.
Well, it's a real privilege to be here today to represent Coach Dalius on her induction into the Hall of Fame. I'd like to thank the committee for recognizing her importance to SCA athletics. Sue and I played field hockey, basketball, and softball for Coach Dalius. And when you played for her, you were known as Frida's girls. She held us to a higher standard. She expected our best on the field and on the court and in the classroom and in life. On our locker room wall, she had painted winners are workers and workers are winners. She also stressed the 4 Ds: desire, dedication, determination, and discipline. I think she influenced our lives.
Oh, very much.
I think she did. It was a different era back in the day, and we used to do our own cheering and different things, and we used to sing this little ditty to honor her. And so if you're here today and you were one of Frida's girls, and I know Beth Begley was, we're going to sing it one last time in honor of Coach Dalius. And I wouldn't want to say that all of us are soloists here, so bear with us, please. I don't know if that's nice. All right, you ready? All right. Who put the G in the go, 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 go? Who put the F in the fight, 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 fight? Who put the W in the win, 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 win? Who put the spark in the mighty, mighty Tigerettes? Who was that lady? We'd like to shake her hand. She made our team the best in all the land. Woo!
I'm going to use my teacher voice because it's very loud. I'm here on the other end of the spectrum to talk about coaching. I had the privilege for 1 year to coach with Frida. She came to my door. Mary, you were in my classroom at the time. It was my first year teaching. And she goes, Tuna, would you like to coach field hockey, junior high field hockey? Well, you don't say no to Frida. If you know Frida, you don't say no to her. I'm like, sure. Little did I know we'd be doing that for like 20 years. But I became her junior high field hockey coach. She just started the program. I was not aware until later that she paid my salary out of her pocket, and she took money from field hockey's budget to give me anything I needed. And I thought, wow, what an amazing, that shows how passionate she was about girls' sports. But the funny thing was, Beth Begley and I had the opportunity to go visit her at the nursing home before she passed, because we wanted to start a scholarship fund in her honor. And unfortunately, it is now in her memory, because by the time we established it, she had passed. But she shared with us, we told stories, and I won't dare tell any of the stories that we shared, but we talked about field hockey, and she said, you know, for as far as I got in field hockey, that was my least favorite sport. I didn't like coaching field hockey. I knew nothing about it. Yet here she was, giving me money, giving away her money to me to build this sport up, the junior high program, that she would never see the fruits of her labor. She was an amazing woman. And with that being said, I have to say it is an honor and privilege for Terry and I to be here tonight, today, this afternoon, to accept this award on her behalf. She was an amazing woman. You cannot say Southern sports without thinking Frida Dallas. So thank you to the committee and to all of us to have picked her and nominated her to be the first Hall of Fame class. So thank you so much.
It's amazing the number of great athletes that this small school out in the country adjacent to cornfields has produced. And it's fun when you debate who's the best athlete in a particular sport. But when it comes to boys track and field in Southern Columbia, there is no debate. Brian Delsight is the man. Brian won 9 state medals, including 3 medals in the triple jump and gold in the high jump his junior year. As a junior, he set a state record in the triple jump, which stood for 10 years. In 1993, he graduated from Syracuse University, where he was a 3-time MVP of the track and field team. He won 3 Big East championships in the triple jump, 2 in the long jump. He was on the Big East Academic All-Star team for 3 seasons. And then became a Division I head coach at the tender age of 28. He was coach at Duquesne for 15 seasons. He earned 4 Atlantic 10 Coach of the Year awards. Later, he was an assistant coach at Bucknell for 7 seasons. He is currently the women's track and field and cross-country coach at Robert Morris University in Pittsburgh. He is Southern Columbia's most accomplished track and field athlete. Our next inductee, Brian Delsight.
I just want to say a sincere thank you to the committee, Dave Begley and everyone else on the committee for putting this together. It's fantastic. I just want to really congratulate all the other members of the Hall of Fame here. It's awesome to see all of you guys here. I was just saying, like we were just having a conversation how when I'm moving to Pittsburgh and people out there, you know, they follow football, obviously, in Western Pennsylvania. I've lived almost more of my life in Western Pennsylvania now that I have here. And they always like, it's mighty Southern Columbia, you know, like, I hear it all about football. At school, where do they get all these kids from? And I'm like, well, I know who it is. Julian Fleming's grandfather was my high school basketball coach, and I know these names, Halliday and Fulmer. You know, I can go through. I'm like, I went to church with it. You know, they think it's some mighty school over here. I'm like, that school sits in between cornfields, and it's just about the work ethic and the dedication and everything that has made this school so special in sports. And then people ask me about the best athletes I've ever seen, and I still say, and each year I said, pound for pound, the greatest football player I've ever seen is still Jerry Marks, in my opinion. So I give Jerry, and he kind of set the standard at that time, being an athlete at Southern, for everybody to strive for greatness. So I just want to just thank, you know, my beautiful wife Jennifer, who's here. My kids are here. Benjamin's here. The girls, I think this is a little too boring for them, so I don't know what they're about to say. Ben's my basketball and triple jumper to be, and then my daughter Lydia's here, who stepped down. You know, I'll try to be real quickly, but I think my journey in sports started like a lot of you guys. It basically started with playing backyard sports with everyone in the community. Used to run through backyards through Illersburg and play sports in somebody's backyard every day after school. I think my dad bought a Worth 26-inch baseball bat, and that was my first thing I had. And then I bought a baseball glove with green stamps from my grandmother gave me. Got a Rawlings baseball glove, and that's how I started. My dad would hit balls as high as he could until I could catch them, and then we'd play outside until it was dark and time to go inside. And that's when I fell in love with sports, was basically like a lot of you guys with your fathers helping teach you to play. So, you know, I did that, and then I first sport I ever did was wrestling, which obviously was not my future, but I wrestled. You know, being at Southern, you wrestle when you're in 2nd grade, and that's what you do, because it's the one you can, the first sport you're allowed to sign up for is wrestling. And they're like, you want to go to wrestle? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll go do it. And had Jay McGinley as my wrestling coach, and quickly learned that I was much more suited for things that involve running and jumping, not wrestling. But I did love that, I did enjoy it a lot, you know, and then it turned into Little League Baseball. And then I think what happened is somebody, you know, Southern Columbia would always have in elementary school, they had this flyer, we're having Junior Olympics Day on that cinder track out there, and they give you a flyer. So you go down there and, you know, we sign up for everything, softball throw, long jump, high jump if they had it, run the 100, 200, 400, 800, run everything. We just do every single event. And I think that's when I found out that I actually could run and could jump a little bit. So running and jumping really served you well when I thought my main sport was basketball, which it kind of was for a while, but when you end up only growing to 5'8.5" and about 140 pounds when you graduate high school, you're not necessarily going to play in the NBA someday. So, but it was a great way to, I think that's what identified me as somebody who could run and jump, was playing basketball. So, anyway, I think the most important thing that I've learned here, especially at Southern, was why we had so much success athletically as we moved through, and it wasn't always that way, I was talking to Mr. Nesbitt, I also call him son, about how people my wife can't believe it, not growing up in this area, how we 27 straight losses in football, and I rode the band truck to the games. My mom and dad used to drive the band truck. My brother was in the marching band, and we'd ride the instruments to the games, and then go to Muncie and Jim Thorpe and all these things. And just like, I'd be, I was probably 10 years old, I'd be heartbroken when we drive home after we lose and couldn't understand like what was going on, whatever. But what happened is we became a school that I think really, really looked out for each other. I think the greatest thing about Southern is people play for the name on the front of the jersey. It wasn't about that. All the selflessness of all the coaches that I have, and I'll name some of them, obviously Alan Cox, who was my head basketball coach and my track and field coach. He did every experience I could have at a single A school as far as track and field, whether or not took me to a meet at Villanova, took me to Penn Relays, things that kids wouldn't normally do at Southern, and he just did it on his own time. He was young and he was newly married, and the Chelsea was a baby. I remember the time, and that's the kind of stuff. It was the selflessness. It was the people that didn't. They did it for themselves. They didn't expect anything in return. They didn't expect to be recognized. They weren't doing it for the recognition. They were just doing it to try to give the best experience to the athletes that they had. Sorry. I think these are some of the coaches I just want to talk about. Jim Kessler was my 7th and 8th grade basketball coach, and I think that's when I learned the most about how to really be committed to a sport and how to worry about fundamentals. I said Mick Fleming, Mick and Lano, they're two phenomenal basketball coaches, and they carried us. We still talk about that district championship team in 1988, which I was not the best player on the team, but I was one of the contributors to the team. That was such a great experience, and again, we had that culture of trying to win and trying to have success. Kevin Jones was my cross-country coach, another great guy, just a good mentor, good role model, had him as a teacher. And then even Kurt Stelfox was another 9th grade basketball coach. All those basketball coaches actually instilled in us like how to do things the right way and how to have success. And the reason I talk about the coaches is I've chosen coaching as a career, obviously. And the reason I say that is because I think that coaches have a phenomenal impact. And I will go to coaches, teachers, all people that are educators. The teachers at Southern were just as important to us as the coaches we had. We were talking about Rose Pericki, Sue Bauer, who was the girls coach and was a phys ed teacher. There's so many to name, but what I thought was awesome about, I'll just leave with a couple comments, a couple things I wanted to mention is, I learned later in life that I think the most important type of leader is basically considered a servant leader, being a servant first, and that's what these people did. They literally put everyone before themselves. They led by example, they led by service. They gave themselves, when I would get clippings in the mail, laminated. Frida Dallas exemplified that. She kept the newspaper clippings of my things that were in the newspaper press enterprise, and then right before I graduated, she handed me this pile of laminated news clippings. That's just who she was. She thought someday you're going to want to have these, someday your family's going to want to have these. And I think that the impact that coaches have on people's lives is just so dramatic that we don't even realize it. Like when I had knee surgery in college, I talked about that, and first person I saw when I woke up was my college coach. And my parents were there, obviously, but my college coach. That's how important. He was there to see me. So I got into coaching because I felt like I wanted to make an impact in other people's lives. And that's what I think everyone here was able, you know, I'm sure all the stories you'll hear will be about coaches and the impact that they have in lives. I got a little annoyed sometimes. Somebody pushed something on Facebook, a prominent coach had passed away, and there's a lot of comments on Facebook about it, and they're like, why are people making such a big deal out of a coach? He wasn't a doctor, he didn't invent something crazy, whatever. And I think that's the thing. The impact that coaches have on lives, like, you know, you go every single day, you see your coach or your teacher. You know, when I had the knee surgery, I don't even remember the doctor's name that did the knee surgery on me, but I remember my coach being there when I was out of the recovery room and I was getting ready to go home from that. You know, so, you know, and lastly, I'll just say, this is our motto at Robert Morris. We have this motto that's called big enough to matter, small enough to care. That's kind of what I think Southern is. Southern is a big enough school where, you know, it matters. You know, we produce countless doctors, lawyers, great, obviously, athletes, great people, but the school's always been small enough to care. And this is the last thing I'll say. There was a great quote, I don't know if anybody saw Ernie Johnson, that follows Ernie Johnson inside the MENTNT. He talked about how we are fortunate, and I truly believe it's unfortunate, there's a difference between a got-to job and a get-to job. A got-to job is like, oh, I got to go to this job today, I have to do that. I have been so lucky to have a get-to job. I get to do this, I get to coach, I get to make an impact in people's lives, I get to be able to take the lessons I've learned and transfer them to other people. You know, Joe Paterno's father, I think there's a story, you may have heard it, when he decided he wasn't going to go to law school, he graduated from Brown, everybody said he's going to go to law school and he wants to get into politics. He basically told his father he was going to take a job coaching football. I think it was something like $3,000 a year to coach football. And they're like, you're not going to go to grad school, you're going to coach football? And his father was like, that's totally fine, I'll support whatever you want to do. All I ask is that you make an impact. And obviously, I think that guy did make an impact on a lot of lives, coaching Penn State. So that's all I just ask for everybody. You know, when you think about things you can do, make an impact. You know, the conversation you have with young people, you never know what conversation you have when you meet someone, how that's going to resonate with them for the rest of their lives. So, but again, I'm humbled, I'm honored. So thankful that you guys did this to be here. I'm really appreciate everything, and I just thank you all for coming. And I'm really looking forward to hearing all the other inductees. So thank you very much.
Brian, I asked your basketball coaches, should I say anything about Brian with basketball? They said, you better stick to track. So I don't know what they meant by that, but I'm just relaying the message. Southern Columbia has one of the state's most successful girls soccer programs. Tigers won state championships 2 out of the last 3 years, and I think they're going to make a run this year as well. Their head coach, Derek Stein, his assistants, Jen Stein and Aaron Spotz, do a great job. But if you talk to them, they'll tell you they owe a debt of gratitude to the person who started it, our next inductee. Frank Fulmer was the head coach when the program was formed in 1995. And in 4 years, they went from 2-18, which you would expect from a first-year program, to the state semifinals, which you wouldn't expect in that quick time. He coached from 1995 to 2005. He was an assistant coach from 2006 to 2013. As a head coach, Frank Fulmer led the Tigers to the state semifinals in 98, 99, 2002. He coached 111 Susquehanna Valley Conference and Heartland Conference All-Stars. He coached 6 National Soccer Coaches Association All-Star players. He coached 17 players who continued their careers at the collegiate level. He coached, at the time, the PIAA's all-time leading scorer, Aaron Spotz, who you'll hear from a little bit later. Unfortunately, Frank died on September 5th, 2014 at age 60. Speaking on his behalf, his widow, Rosie Fulmer.
began playing soccer at the age of 5. Frank began his journey to develop a love of the sport of soccer. As time progressed, it became a passion for him as he studied and learned all he could about the game. Along the way, he met wonderful people who also shared this passion. These people include the members of the Southern Columbia girls soccer team, who worked so hard and were so eager to develop and refine their knowledge and skills. This determination led to the success of the Southern girls soccer program. In addition to his team members, parents, family members, and the community showed unending support of the program. I would like to thank everyone who contributed to Frank's success and the success of the girls' soccer program. I'd like to acknowledge several individuals who helped Frank along the way. Mary McCormick, his assistant coach at the initiation of the program, the soccer boosters, the staff and administration of Southern Columbia School District, and the one man who had the ability and patience to deal with Frank's personality, and that is Derek Stein. These words are not enough to express the fun, the laughter, the heartaches, and the love and friendships that we experienced through the soccer program. Frank would have been very humbled by this award and eagerly shared his joy with everyone who contributed to the girls' soccer team's success. Under the guidance of Derek Stein, Jen Stein, and Aaron Spotz, Frank's memory always remains in the heart of the Southern Columbia girls' soccer team. Thank you very much on behalf of myself and my family for this honor. Thank you.
Our next inductee was a girl for all seasons. One of Southern Columbia's best all-around athletes, Mary Frances Romanowski Helwig, achieved all-state status in both basketball and soccer. A 2001 graduate of SCA, Mary Frances finished her high school soccer career with 68 goals, which was third all-time, and school record 49 assists. In the 2000 season, she was named the Associated Press All-State Team and was on an All-East Regional All-American team. In basketball, she finished her career with a school record 1,543 points, a school record 509 steals, and was second all-time in rebounding. In her senior year, she was named to the Associated Press All-State First Team. She was also the Reading Eagles Female Athlete of the Year, was honorable mention on the USA Today All-American team. She went on to play basketball at Lehigh University, where she was the team leader in rebounds 2004-2005. She also played softball at Southern Columbia and was the team's MVP her senior season. A standout in 3 sports, our next inductee, Mary Frances Helwig.
Gosh, you can dress me up and put some heels on me and I get all nervous in front of everyone? I'm much better off in my basketball shoes. I'd like to start out by thanking the Hall of Fame committee for recording today's video session. Thanks to you all. Henry's going to do a film review on me and pick apart my speech today and miss all my miscues from public speaking. So, all jokes aside, Henry, thank you for driving me to be better every day. You're my little brother, but you're also my biggest critic, and because of you, you've been the key to my success. So thank you. It's such an honor to be up here with you today. And this entire class, and what a class it is. Wow. To remember who we were is why we're here today, right? However, I'd be remiss if I didn't speak to how proud I am of how this class has evolved. Athletes never relinquish their drive for success on or off the field, and this class continues to perform and pass on their legacy for future generations. Regulars in this queue. As coaches, as leaders of this community, and as parents. I grew up around the sport. Backwards hats and playing catch started before I could walk. By second grade, my biggest dilemma came at recess. It was whether to play kickball outside with Mrs. Stone or to play tackle football with Dave Ledour. I can honestly stand here today and not recall the details of any stat or single game I ever played, but the memories I made, the lessons I learned, the friendships I fostered through my athletic journey, those are what stayed with me forever. I was blessed with an incredibly supportive family, coaches who believed in me and developed me to be the best version of myself, and teammates who become lifelong friends, and a community who encouraged me all along the way. I'd like to thank my parents for their love and for their support and for instilling incredible values of faith, family, and love. Having a father play in the NFL was something I was so proud of and everything I wanted to be. He encouraged my participation in athletics and introduced me to basketball. And from my very first game to my very last, my mother would say, "Always remember, you are the best." That was her way of building confidence in me and knowing that she always had my back and my support no matter what. Thank you again to my brother Henry for your belief and pursuit of the American dream. He wanted something way bigger than himself, and he worked incredibly hard and believed it was possible. His collegiate and professional journey introduced our family to cities, stadiums, and cultural experiences of a lifetime, and he was so proud to share that with each of us. I'd like to thank my husband Josh. He's not here today, he's with my kids coaching them in sports, but normally he's by my side, and he has been since high school. And he chose me for his co-captain in life, and he always believed in me and supports women's sports. I'd like to thank my kids, Kaylee, Josh, and Nico, for giving me the opportunity to experience the joys of athletics as a parent and as a coach. I'm not so sure I'll live up to the role of my parents that they played or the knowledge I had from my coaches, but I promise I'll do my best to develop them into future Tigers. To Derek Stein, for instilling a love for soccer in me at such a young age. You were fun, endearing, and you created a youth program that correlated to a statewide success in high school. You taught us that team chemistry is built not only on the field, but off the field, and you opened your home and your garage to endless opportunities and parties. To Frank Fulmer, for his support in the choice of our Chinese buffet pregame meal. The bottomless crab legs and the pork fried rice were definitely the keys to our success for that team. Had nothing to do with the 3-a-days and the beef tests. But one really cool story about Frank is I was known on an occasion or 2 or 3 to leave a cleat at home, just one. And Frank would just shake his head and he'd take the shoes off of his own feet and give them to me to work for practice. And I was going into the homecoming game this weekend on Friday night, and I passed Jen Stein, and she's just wearing socks. I was like, "Jen, where are your shoes?" She's like, "I had to give them to one of my players." So Jen likes to follow in Frank's footsteps, literally, so that's pretty cool. I'd also like to thank Alsci Hockey. He let me participate in the boys' gym class growing up, so that was kind of fun. And he encouraged me to play softball, and he taught me how to put my hips into my swing so I can nail a field over the fence. And to Coach Fleming, for the team boat trips on the river, for the hot peppers from South Williamsport, for your fashion statement with your tube socks and your white Reebok eye tops, for the Tootsie Pop Player of the Game Award, but most importantly, thank you for the hours you dedicated to vetting college coaches, to building my highlight reel, to the weekly, sometimes daily check-ins with my parents and I. Your interest in my future was beyond any expectation a player could have of a coach. To Aaron, we were a dangerous tandem without 1 ounce of jealousy. We played off of each other and for each other in the most selfless ways. And to Steiny, thank you for your left foot, your corner kicks, and your crosses. Without you, my head would never have got so much love. And lastly, I'd like to thank each of the inductees and this Hall of Fame committee. Many of you I grew up with, aspired to be, or were coached by. Others I thought were kind of cute. When you surround yourself with the best, you become the best. Thank you.
Our next inductee had a lot to live up to in his own family. After all, when your dad was a high school and college football star and played the NFL, and your sister was all-state in 2 sports, that's a lot to live up to. But he did okay on his own. He was a three-time All-State football player, named the state's Player of the Year in 2006. Rushed for 7,165 career yards, second in school history. Scored 113 touchdowns. Played on 4 state championship teams. Only SCA player named to the Big 33 team. Has had his number 27 retired. I have 2 favorite memories of Henry Romanowski. One was a play, one was a game. The play was a state playoff game against Schuylkill at Pottsville. And Pottsville doesn't have artificial turf. They still don't. And that day was the worst field conditions I've ever seen. And Henry ran 95 yards for a touchdown. On a day when it would have been a challenge to just run 95 yards without falling down on that field, much less have 11 people trying to tackle you. And the game was the first round state playoff game against Pius X, November 26th of 2004, when he set school and state playoff records, 406 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns in a 76-47 win. He played collegiately at Pitt, where he was the starting fullback for 3 seasons for head coach Dave Wanstadt. Signed as a free agent with the NFL's New York Giants and played in 46 games from 2011 to 2014. Starting fullback for the Giants on February 5th, 2012 in his rookie season when they won the Super Bowl with a 21-17 win over New England. He's now the head coach of the Indians of Shamokin, one of the greatest players in Southern Columbia's storied football history, Henry Romanowski.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's great seeing everyone gathered here this afternoon to celebrate this joyous event. Thank you to the committee for selecting me for this prestigious honor, and thank you for all the inductees for setting the standards for success at Southern Columbia area. Before I begin, I just want to thank a few important people for the impact that they have had on me my entire life. Dad, you are everything that I aspired to be my entire life, from both an athletic standpoint and as a person. You were the greatest man I have ever met. Thank you for being my idol and for still being my idol. I strive every day to be at least half the man that you are. Mom, you are my inspiration. You are single-handedly the most focused, disciplined, toughest, and relentless person I have ever met in my life. Thank you for always keeping me grounded and for making family and academics my #1 priority in life. You are our rock and our leader, and for that, I will be forever grateful. Mary, most amazing sister I can ever ask for. I mean, we fought a lot, trust me. We still do. We're always at each other's throats, but she is an unbelievable person. Thank you for kicking my butt in everything we did growing up and making me strive to get better in every aspect of life. Following your legacy and trying to match up with you was a true motivation of mine that will carry me through my life. If I was born with half of your natural talent, I will still be in the NFL, but as an explosive running back instead of a bullheaded fullback, and probably a bigger contract too. I'd like to thank the rest of my entire family and my friends and all of my coaches for the support and love you have given me throughout my life. Coach Roth, thank you for everything. Learning from you prepared me for success at the college and pro level, and I couldn't have anybody better guiding me along my way. Thank you. Through all my accomplishments and accolades and achievements throughout my life, by far my greatest accomplishment was meeting my incredible wife and creating a beautiful family through the help of God. Laura, Hudson, and Paulina, I will strive every single day to be the best husband and father I could ever be. You are all the loves of my life, and I will always be there for you every step of the way as you are for me. Thank you for making my life incredible every single day. Without the three of you, I am nothing. I have been all over the world and played on the biggest stages of sports in existence. I have been blessed with tremendous opportunities, fortune, and fame. However, the greatest experiences of my life in sports was playing under those Friday night lights, wearing the black and gold, representing the Southern Columbia Tigers, in front of a community that I will forever love, adore, and cherish. You are all my home, and I am so honored to be back to the area that raised me, the greatest place in the world. Thank you all so much. God bless.
I think it's amazing that a small school like Southern Columbia has won state championships in 4 different sports. In baseball, the Tigers won a state title in 2000, and they did it primarily by riding the right arm of our next inductee. An outstanding high school baseball player, Ryan Kiefer, in that senior season, struck out 138 batters in just 84 2/3 innings, had an earned run average of 1.00. He was untouchable. He was a 4-year starter. He had a career pitching record of 27-5, also recorded 6 saves. He's the school's all-time leader in wins and strikeouts. Not a bad batter either. Batted .463 in both the 1999 and 2000 seasons. He played professional baseball for 10 years, pitching in the minor leagues after being drafted in the 13th round by the Baltimore Orioles. In 2001, he was named the Appalachian League's Relief Pitcher of the Year. In 2004, he won the L. Rod Hendricks Award. Every year, that award recognizes one minor league player whose level of community involvement is worthy of special recognition that truly stands out within the Orioles organization. Our next inductee, baseball great, Ryan Kiefer.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm extremely honored to be a part of this first induction class. I thank the Hall of Fame committee for selecting me. I'm with so many amazing athletes that I grew up idolizing and looking up to. Southern's a small school, and every day you leave to go up to your car, you see pictures of all the athletes that broke the ground before us. And always, in my mind, I always wanted to be one of those guys as well. And they would push me and push me and push me. I want to thank my coaches first, because those are the guys that I think at Southern I was blessed to have come up when we had amazing coaches that were well known throughout the state. Coach Zonikonis, Coach Fleming. I mean, there's probably more wins in this room than the whole state combined right now. Coach Roth even. And then on the women's side, we had Coach Dalius. We had a lot of phenomenal coaches that always guided me and paved the way. Coach Connors, guys that would just guide you on and off the field. I didn't run track. He tried to convince me to throw javelin for him every single day. But I probably could have done it. But guys like that would always just kind of help you out. You know, Coach Fleming would give me advice. You know, he had no business coaching me, but he would give me advice on and off the field. Would I would take it? Probably not. But yeah, I'm very appreciative of all my coaches that helped me out along the way. And you know, I actually probably got some of my best pitching advice from the late Don Engel, who didn't even coach me at my school, but he took time to spend with me after my freshman year. I'm just throwing 79 as hard as I can. He worked with me, and then the next year I'm throwing 88, and he goes, you know, it's going to come back to haunt me, helping you out. But I was very appreciative of what he did for me and all my coaches. My teammates, I'd like to thank them, but they really didn't do anything. I'm just kidding. I got to play with a lot of great people, and they've gone on to do great things. And that's what's great about our school. It's such a tight-knit community. I would hope they would laugh at that comment, but maybe not. I'd like to thank my older brother, Eric. I'm 7 years younger than him. And he would invite me to all of the sports that he would play. And I think it was mostly to be the tackling dummy or, you know, the punching bag. But they taught me a lot about how to be tough and no matter what, you play hard. Kyle, I'd like to thank you. We grew up in the middle of nowhere, nothing to do. So my mind was always bored. I wanted to play sports 24/7, so we'd come up with some stupid stuff. And he was always there by my side, playing along. Mom and Dad, thank you so much for everything you guys have done. You guys sacrificed a lot to get me where I am today. Quick story, I was born with like a DNA or a gene that I'd never wanted to let them down. So, I'd be pitching games. I'd be in the 6th, 7th inning, throwing like 140 pitches. I got like 12 strikeouts. My arms hanging like by a thread. And I'd throw ball 1, throw ball 2, and then I hear this, "Come on, Ryan, quit messing around." So right away, I got to turn it back up a notch and finish the game out. But they were at every single sporting event through my career, always supporting me. Frida Dallas was at every game. She was just as hard on me as anybody else as well. I love being a Southern Tiger. I really appreciate everybody that's ever done anything for me. And I wouldn't be here, without everyone, helping each other out. Thank you again to everybody. This is a great event, and hopefully we can keep this going with even better classes. Thank you.
During the course of this banquet, we're going to talk a lot about victories, but I'm going to talk about a loss, because one of the most significant performances by a Southern Columbia boys basketball team ended up in a 61-49 defeat, a loss to Penn Charter in the state Eastern semifinals. Tigers actually trailed by just 4 points with 3 minutes to play in that game. And why was that performance so significant? Well, the opposition, the caliber of that opposition. Prep Charter, all 5 starters played Division I basketball. Their 2 stars were 6'9" twins, Marcus and Mark Heath Morris, who are still in the NBA. And in that game, those 2 NBA standouts combined for 16 points and 7 rebounds, while a skinny 6'6" 9th grader from Southern Columbia had 21 points and 12 rebounds. It was just the start of a marvelous career for Colin Klebon. I was fortunate to broadcast the game against Hughesville his senior season when he had 44 points, 14 rebounds, 9 blocks, 8 assists. There's so much made of double-doubles or triple-doubles. He almost had a quadruple-double in that game. It was the best performance I have ever seen. Southern Columbia's all-time league basketball scorer with 2,230 points. Also, the school career leader in rebounds with 1,301. 3-time All-State selection, first team as a senior. 3-time All-League selection in baseball. Played basketball at Bucknell University for 2-time Patriot League champs, made 2 NCAA playoff appearances, and 1 NIT. Basketball great Colin Klebon.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great honor to be here tonight. Thank you. I'm not here to talk about myself, but to thank the people who helped me along the way. First, I'd like to start with my parents for taking me all the sporting events throughout the years, whether it was out-of-state tournaments or sitting with me at youth practices because I didn't want to be there myself because I was too shy. And also, I'd like to thank my wife and her family for being one of my biggest fans and for all their love and support. I'd also like to thank her for telling me that my defense could always be better, and also telling me when I didn't dive for the loose ball that was on the ground. I'd also like to thank my grandparents in heaven who never missed a game and always told me I played great when I didn't really. I'd also like to thank my aunts and uncles who took the time to take me to basketball, baseball, and football games, as well as camps when I was a kid. This was a big part of the reason why I love sports as much as I do. I'd also like to give a special shout out to my Uncle Ron. He was a very big reason for my success. He was my trainer when I was in high school. He turned a tall, skinny kid who didn't have much experience lifting weights into a fit athlete. And the cool story about him is we used to work out at a Rocky-style gym in Shamokin. It was called Zaylor's. There wasn't really any air conditioning. We'd always work out in sweats. The bench press was made out of suede. We actually used to put sandpaper on the bench press so we wouldn't slide on it. My head would be bleeding, his head would be bleeding, my back would be bleeding. Then also at the end of every week I used to chalk my hands up and we'd go outside and on the side of the big brick building I used to jump up in the air and leave my mark each week so I could strive to beat it the next week. I'd also like to thank my coaches for always keeping me humble and striving to make me a better person and player each and every day. Many hours were spent game planning, watching film, and staying after practice late to make sure I can get in some extra shots. And just a tidbit about my basketball coaches. Coach Stelfox is a lot nicer than he looks. And he's also a better foul shooter than he looks. And Coach Davis, he was actually a good one-on-one player. He was tough to beat in practice, and especially when the server would go down, he would be extra tough to beat. And next, I'd like to thank my teammates. You know, any individual award is also a team award. So thanks for all the guys who have played with me, both basketball and baseball. And I'd also like to thank Dave. It seemed like he was always there when I needed an assist for my 1,000 point, 2,000 point, to break the record. He was always the guy to make sure that happened. And next, I'd like to thank my teachers for helping me realize that academics were always the #1 priority, and my studies would get me through the rest of life after sports were over. And then I'd like to close by speaking to my kids, Ellen and Jacob. I hope you find the passion in life that I can support you through, that is important to you as basketball was to me. Thanks to all for having me here today. It has been a great honor to be inducted into Southern's first Athletic Hall of Fame. Congratulations to all the other inductees. Thank you.
Our next inductee was the star quarterback for the Tiger football team. One memorable evening at Tiger Stadium, Tigers were in a hurry-up late in the half, out of timeouts. They just ran a very successful play. The team is racing downfield to get to the line of scrimmage. Meanwhile, our man, the quarterback, runs by the bench to get the play, and the coach says, same play, same play. So he goes out, they run the play, same play, and this time, no gain, a loss, terrible play. And the coaches couldn't figure out what happened. Well, it turns out our man got excited, ran to the line of scrimmage, and instead of calling out a play, he yelled, same play, same play. The defense said, thank you very much, and blew up the play. That was not the highlight of his career, but he had plenty. A 2005 graduate, Dan Ledour was the starting quarterback for 3 state championship teams. He was a 2-time All-State selection and was the 2004 Small School Player of the Year. His last 2 seasons, the Tigers were 29-1. In basketball, his senior season, 198 assists, which gave him 309 for his career, both school records. In track and field in his senior year, he was part of the 1,600-meter relay team that finished 2nd in states. He had a wonderful career as a quarterback at Bloomsburg University, playing for the legendary coach Danny Hale. He was the PSAC East Rookie of the Year in 2006, the PSAC East First Team Selection twice. Finished his career with over 7,000 passing yards, 2nd in school history, 60 touchdown passes, also 2nd. His career completion percentage is a school record, as are his 871 rushing yards and 21 touchdowns as far as quarterbacks are concerned. He led the Huskies to the national semifinals in 2006. How he did this all while gaining 5 different degrees at Bloomsburg, I'll never know. But he was certainly a success on and off the field, a most worthy inductee into the Southern Columbia Athletic Hall of Fame, Dan Ledour.
Alrighty, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I just went to, when I was on my way here, my dad was saying, how you feeling and whatnot, and I'm thinking to myself, well, the only times I ever really do this is when I'm in my underwear doing a conference call on Zoom with my clients, so this is going to be a little different, but the other thing too is I'm going to keep this short and sweet as opposed to my dad. He'd be up here for about 45 minutes talking about God knows what. So anyways, first off, I want to thank you very much from the committee for choosing myself for the first class of the SCA Hall of Fame. In addition, I also wanted to congratulate the rest of the inductees, truly well deserving. And of course, when I first got the message from Dave via, I think it was Facebook, and then reading the list of who on there, I thought his Facebook account got hacked. So, it's truly an honor here to be a part of this first class Southern Columbia Hall of Fame. Tonight, of course, I want to recognize the most important people in my life. Sorry, that's my little guy over there. Of course, all right, let me start over. I want to thank the very important people in my life here with me tonight. Of course, my mom and my dad. They've been through everything with my brother and I growing up. Gone to every sporting event. I can still remember my dad taking or skipping on golf trips to go to a basketball tournament. And of course, with my mom always being there to push my brother and I, both academically, but also, of course, from a sports standpoint. And of course, with my brother, he toughened me up from day one, never including me on anything throughout the development in terms of sports, even though I begged him mercifully to join him, which eventually he didn't let me do it, but thank you very much for that, Dave. Also, too, I do want to recognize as well my grandfather that's here tonight. Of course, my grandmother would be here had she not passed 2 years ago, but diehard Mount Carmel Tornado fan until I came through and became a Southern Tiger, and he eventually switched over. So, Pat, thank you so much for that and being there for always supporting me. I'd also like to thank my wife, who's right now unfortunately chasing our 2 little ones, Ellie and Dawson. Unfortunately, she wasn't or didn't get the opportunity to see me play, whether it was at Southern or, of course, at Bloomsburg. But it was, better in the long run that I became the most important thing in my life, which is becoming a dad to my daughter here walking with no shoes on, Ellie, and my son walking out there with my wife, Dawson. And hopefully, my wish was always to see or have them see me play at that professional level and seeing them running on the field to see their dad after whether it was 3 interceptions and a loss or on a winning drive. So But I guess that'll lead me to my next next job would be possibly be coaching them. The next people I wanted to thank is, of course, the coaching staff, especially Coach Roth, who's in here tonight or today. Thank you very much for giving me that opportunity, Coach, to be your quarterback and to be on a program that's to this day even truly inspiring. Every Friday when I'm at home and I'm trying to put the kids in the tub, I'm always having the games on YouTube, and my wife's yelling at me to put the kids in the tub and put the phone down. So, no, Coach, it's been an absolute honor to be your quarterback and, of course, play for you and the rest of the coaching staff. In addition to the coaching staff, I also want to recognize Mike Johnston, even though he's not here tonight, but he took me under his wing in 8th grade and introduced me to the weight room, and it was just a truly blessing to help add as another trait as being a quarterback for Southern. I also want to take the teachers, of course, to inspire me, not only in the classroom, but also to just being a humble and caring person. There's more to life than sports and academics, and of course it's just how you go about carrying yourself through life. So I do want to thank them as well. Mr. Doyle, of course, you were my 8th grade English teacher, so thank you. And then lastly, too, I just want to thank the community. I know a lot of people in here, and of course there's some people that aren't here with us today, but you probably don't realize how much of an influence and an impact in a positive way you've had on my life. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you guys have done, whether it was directly or indirectly. So thank you very much for that. So once again, committee, thank you so much for selecting myself, and congratulations once again to the inductees here today. Thank you.
We try to be as accurate with the facts as we can. Dan corrected me. He said he only got 4 degrees at Bloomsburg. What a slacker. The Southern Columbia football teams of the late 1980s featured one of the most imaginative and diverse offenses as you could have. Jim Roth must have gone to a number of clinics to put this all together. Let me try to describe it to you. Sometimes the quarterback would hand the ball to Jerry Marks. Sometimes the quarterback would pitch the ball to Jerry Marks. Sometimes Jerry would run right, sometimes Jerry would run left, and sometimes Jerry ran up the middle. Considering that every opposing coach and every opposing defensive player knew exactly that, what he accomplished is just amazing. He finished his career with 7,075 rushing yards. At that time, it was the state record, and it stood as the state record for 7 years. In his senior season, he was named first-team All-State. And who knows, you could argue that football maybe wasn't his best sport. In wrestling, he was 133 wins, 8 losses, and 1 tie. His last 2 seasons, 74-1. He won 2 state titles at 167 pounds as a junior, 185 pounds as a senior when he went 38-0. Also in that senior season, he wrestled in the Pittsburgh Classic, which matched the best wrestlers from Pennsylvania against the best from the rest of the country. Beat a Texas wrestler 13-12. He was inducted in the District 4 Wrestling Hall of Fame. After high school, he continued playing football at Bloomsburg University, and I was there at a game at Mansfield, the biggest example of durability I've ever seen. 59 carries. Never seen that before. That's still a school record and a PSAC record. 300 yards, which at the time was a record, just an amazing performance. It didn't stop there. 2019, he coached the Southern Columbia wrestling team to the AA state championship. Our next inductee, Jerry Marks. Good handoff.
probably thinking, Jerry and Jennifer had a, no, we didn't. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the Hall of Fame inductees. What an honor. I mean, this is something you dream of, and I'm just blessed to be here with all of you. Special thanks to the Hall of Fame committee for choosing me for this honor. I've reflected on my career, and I thought about all the positive relationships I've had with coaches, players, and the community members. When I was in 7th grade, it was kind of funny. There was no junior high football program. Am I correct, Mr. Lamakonis? And Al Lamakonis took over as the junior high football coach in 8th grade, and that was basically the first year that we had football there. But I was in 8th grade, and I looked up to two individuals. I looked up to Jay Drumheller, and I think we all remember Jay as a great football player. And I remember Bill Freeman being our first state champion. And my goal was, it was kind of funny, in 8th grade, my goal was to beat Jay's rushing mark and to win a state championship in wrestling. And I just worked tremendously hard at that, and with the guidance from my parents, who never missed a game or a match. They established a set of guidelines that led me in the right direction. After football games, I was not allowed to go out with my friends. We went to the Buckhorn truck stop for supper after the football games. Mom saved everything that I have. Every t-shirt that I wore underneath my shoulder pads in football still hangs in the bedroom, in my bedroom at their house. Ankle tape that I wore when I set the state rushing record. I cut it off and somehow she has it. She might even have my underwear. I have no idea. My dad, just the calmest guy in the world. Positive. Dad always just gave me positive vibes every time, even if I had a bad game. It was okay. I got the pat on the head and everything was super. I'd like to thank my wife, Jennifer. She was there my senior year and college career when things weren't actually going the best for me. I sat on the bench for 3.5 years. And then I think the head coach tried to kill me with that 59 carry game. And she was there through it all. Blake and Morgan, who I live my life through them now, positive with them. Just love them to death. Numerous aunts and uncles who would call me before the big game. My Aunt Eleanor, my Aunt Josephine who would yell from the stands, watch the pass. My Uncle Charlie Drasky, who would throw footballs to me in the backyard when John, my brother, would try to cover me. I'd also like to thank my brother John, who helped me so much my freshman year in football and wrestling. He was my role model. He was the person who drove me everywhere. When I wanted to go lifting, he would take me. When I wanted to go running, he would take me somewhere and drop me off. He would pick me up on the way to school in the morning when I would start my run during wrestling season. I lived in New Media. He would pick me up at the old cinder pile down there along 42 on my way to school in the morning. At 6 o'clock, I would start my run. I'd like to thank Coach Roth, Andy Mills, my running back coach, Al Hockey, who actually was the team trainer at that time, believe it or not. Yeah, he would tape my ankles up and then toes would be blue. Coach Jay McGinley evidently isn't here tonight for wrestling and all those assistant coaches and my teammates. I was driving by one of my old teammates' houses the other day, and he was in his yard mowing his grass, and he flagged me down, and he stopped me, and he said, "Hey, congratulations on getting inducted into that Hall of Fame thing." He said, "Don't forget about me. Don't forget about us." And I said, "I never did, and I never would." I couldn't have done it without my teammates. I know this award is for me, but mostly it's for them. It's everything that they've done for me, the offensive line and the fullbacks. In conclusion, I'd like to thank the community, family, and friends who have supported me throughout my career. I received a text message this morning from my godmother who said to me, enjoy your walk down memory lane. And that's truly what this is, a walk down through memory lane. Thank you.
When the Roaring Creek Valley, Ralpho Township, and Catawissa High Schools joined to form the Southern Columbia Area School District in 1962, an athletic director was needed to supervise the new school's sports programs. The school chose a man who had coached soccer, basketball, and baseball at Catawissa, and it turned out to be a great choice. He was instrumental in the growth of the district's athletic programs from 5 sports to 13. He helped organize Southern's first female sports programs. He continued the role as athletic director until his retirement in 1984. His contributions were recognized in a special way on February 4, 2014, when the high school's newly constructed gym was named the Charles T. Nesbitt Gymnasium. In March of 2017, he was inducted into the Pennsylvania State Athletic Directors Association Hall of Fame. He was a charter member of that group, which now includes over 800 ADs statewide. In addition to his work as an athletic director, he served as a PIAA official in soccer, basketball, baseball, and wrestling, working soccer at the collegiate level. Our next inductee is not with us today, but he's still going strong at 98 years old. To speak on his behalf, his son, Tom Nesbitt.
Well, thank you, Jim. I'm pleased to be here today to accept this Hall of Fame honor for my father, Charlie Nesbitt. As the first athletic director of Southern Columbia, I can truly say he loved the school district. He loved you, the people who were in the school district, and he was glad to dedicate his life to it. Had there been no pandemic, he would have been here at this banquet himself last year. He was living independently, driving, and he still really enjoyed going to games. He's been blessed. We've been happy as a family that he was blessed with so many years of really good health and being able to share in your success and in so many joys. These last 3 months, he's declined rather quickly. He's now in memory care. And I was telling, I think it was Jim earlier, that we were asked in the spring, when was the last time that he needed to go to the hospital and stay overnight in the hospital? When we asked him, and he remembered. He said, oh, yeah, I know. It was, I had an accident in the outfield, ran into another outfielder going for a fly ball, and broke my nose and had to go to the hospital overnight then. So he's really been blessed with good health. So we're happy for him that he could live such a long time and be healthy. He liked to call athletics, and really all extracurriculars, the other half of education. He firmly believed in valuable life lessons that we learn from activities outside of the regular school day. He did, as an athletic director, he expected coaches and athletes to practice the high ideals of sportsmanship, respect, to pursue excellence, and to be passionate. Life was good and easy happy during winning times in our household as I was growing up. And yet it was harder to keep this positive attitude when sometimes the losses were piling up. And Brian and I remember there were those times that we had some rough years. He enjoyed telling a story that I've heard many times. It dealt with some of the rough times. It goes something like this, that he claimed that there was a time when things were not going so well at school, and he had lots of suggestions from community people. To be honest, a lot of criticisms. A lot of people were giving him advice. So to kind of escape this feeling, on a Sunday afternoon, he took our family to the Bloomsburg airport and said, let's go for an airplane ride. So we went for this airplane ride, and we're flying over the school district, and he said, I think I'm going to take this $10 bill, drop it out of the airplane, and make somebody in our school district happy. And my mother said, no, why don't you take two $5 bills, drop two $5 bills out of the airplane, and make two people happy. My older sister at the time said, Dad, why don't you throw out 10 $1 bills and make 10 people happy? I was 3 or 4 years old, and I said, why don't you throw yourself out the plane and make everybody happy? I don't think that was true, but I heard it many times growing up. Something that I do remember him treasuring was a lithograph of Grantley Rice's poem that was significant for times of working through struggles, and yet also humbling in the times of success. And this is what was hanging over his desk at home. We can't all play a winning game. Someone is sure to lose. Yet we can play so that our name no one may dare accuse. That when the master referee scores against our name, it won't be whether we've won or lost, but how we've played the game. Congratulations to all the inductees today into this Hall of Fame. Thanks to the committee for putting this together. It's a great deal of work, and it's really nice that you've begun this for the school district.
It is highly unlikely that any Southern Columbia athlete ever had more senior season success than our next inductee. He was the team captain for both the 1994 SCA State Football Championship team, 15-0, the school's first state championship team, and the 1994-95 District 4 Basketball Championship team, a team that finished 29-1 and reached the state semifinals. So he went from the first week of September through the second week of March undefeated, 44-0 going into that basketball state semifinal. He was the first team All-State selection in football in 1994. He finished with over 3,000 career rushing yards and 70 touchdowns. In basketball, he scored over 1,000 career points and pulled down over 1,000 rebounds. He played college football at Delaware, spent 2 seasons as a grad assistant while there. He is our next inductee. He is Dennis Butch Romanowski.
Thank you. Anyone with kids know this is running long and they're getting restless. Thank you for the committee. It's an honor to be part of this. Sports in playing at Southern gave me a lot of opportunities, gave me a lot of experiences that really helped and molded and shaped me throughout my life. I don't know if I really understood it completely until I got older. But while I was there, made a lot of great friendships. But one of the things that was very impactful for me was I got to spend time and try to influence the younger generation of players and athletes, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I ended up becoming, making a career out of that. So it was very good to have the experiences, because with playing sports at Southern, it gave me these experiences. But along the way, I got a lot of support. Family was always first. My whole family has always supported me since I was young, playing midget football or CYO basketball. My aunts, who are here today, always attended. My aunt Tina always videotaped games. We had a big shoulder video camera. And my grandmother would always, I always go over Saturday mornings and watch the games with her. It was a fun time for me and something I remember. I want to thank my sister. She was always very supportive of me with sports, but even when I wanted to get away from sports at times. I appreciate that. I want to thank my brother, who's not here, but he set the bar for me. My brother went to Lourdes. He was a very good athlete. He always felt like no matter what I would do, would not get to him. I remember playing wiffle ball with him in the yard and him always beating me. I still didn't like it, but it was always good. He's always set the benchmark. Dad, I always appreciate all the sacrifices you made, taking me to the games, taking me to camps, talking to me. It was, I really appreciate all that you did for me. Last person I want to thank my family is my mom. My mom passed away about a year ago. As I get older and as I am an adult now and have kids, I realize all the stuff that she did, and I'm sure all the other athletes here, when you're like, oh, I got a game tomorrow, or I got my practice jersey that needs to be washed, like, you drop it on there and all of a sudden you wake up in the morning and it's there. It was a magical trip. It was wonderful. Or I needed a ride here, or, oh yeah, we got an early practice, so you got to make something to eat. I appreciate all that my mom has done, and I just wanted to make sure I thank her. I have all the clippings. She made scrapbooks of all the years, and very happy that she did now because I have them to show my kids. I really learned from her the unconditional support, as well as the rest of my family. I want to thank the coaches, especially Coach Roth, Lano, allowing me to come up as a freshman playing, really set the bar for me, gave me exposure and experience. I don't have many individual records. There's so many great athletes that have gone through Southern, so it doesn't even, I remember when I graduated, I don't think I was in the top 5 of rushing, I was like, oh yeah, you're a really good player. Like, apparently I'm not. One record, I don't know if this is actual fact, but I think I hold the most record for career fouls in basketball. I fouled out my first game and my last game, so I'm pretty sure that I probably had that. That's probably the only individual record I have. I want to thank Millsy and Siho. They were my individual coaches, or position coaches for football. I want to thank Fox, who always made a very big impression. He coached me in junior high, as well as along the way in high school. I really appreciate all the coaches I have, because I think learning work ethic and preparation, and I think those are aspects that you don't appreciate until you get older, until you see other people that don't have them. And I think a lot of people that have come from this community or come from these programs understand what work and preparation is, and helps make you successful. So thank you, coaches. And I think the thing that I remember the most from, or I take away the most from high school is friendships, and the wonderful aspects I learned. You learn how to compete, you learn respect, you learn accountability for yourself and others. I never wanted to let down my friends. I always wanted to be there and try to do whatever it takes to have fun, Silas. Whatever it takes to become successful and to be accountable. friends become family, and part of this community. I went to first Southern game at Southern for the first time in probably about 5 years, 10 years, and not much has changed, and that's a good thing. You know, it's a community, everybody knows each other, everybody's very friendly, everybody's supportive of each other, and it's a wonderful day. I want to thank my wife, Natasha, and my 2 kids, Deanna and Silas. Thank you for coming here. She didn't know me in high school, and that's probably a good thing. You know, listening to everybody else's speeches here, we're going to wrap up. I feel like we all had very similar upbringings. We had great coaches that have impacted us. We've all been humbled. We have all been influenced by each other. Want a picture? Come over and stand by me? Want to come over and stand by me? No. You know, we're all driven by community and people that have influenced us positively. And I think, you know, knowing my friends and knowing the other people around here, we you know, try to do that for other people. And it doesn't surprise me people become coaches or other helping professions. It's a very unique experience coming to graduating from Southern, and I feel like it's family. And you know, I'm very proud of being part of the first class that gets honored, inducted into the Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Just as sidelight, I mentioned that Butch was on that great basketball team that went 29-0 into the Eastern Finals. They lost to a team called the Slayton School, which was only in existence for 1 year. It was for a school for adjudicated youth, those that were having some problems with the law. During the course of that game, Chad Fabian, the high scorer for Southern Columbia, was next to a player from the Slayton School during a foul shot, and he said, what are you in school for? And the kid said, Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, hey, don't knock it. Everybody's got to have a career, right? Yeah, Slayton School was only there for that 1 year, but they were pretty good that year. In 1972, I was fortunate to do my student teaching at Southern Columbia. Fortunate because it was a great experience and it led to a full-time job for me. But also fortunate because I was witness to the greatest performance by a boys basketball player for one season ever at Southern Columbia. He led the Tigers to the first District 4 championship. They beat a highly favored Northwest team that year. In his senior season, he led the team in scoring. He led the league in scoring. He led the district in scoring. He led the freaking state in scoring. The only Tiger to ever do that. In that championship season, he scored 862 points. That's a good career. That was done in one season. He averaged 29.9 points a game, and that was before they had a three-point shot. He's the only Tiger to score 50 or more points in a game, and he had that 4 times. Twice he scored over 60 points in a game, including a career-high 68 against Freeland. He wasn't a flashy player at all, despite all those numbers. In fact, I was at a game in Berwick where he scored 35 points, and after the game, someone came up to me and said, which one was Denny Schmidt? I mean, he just was that kind of player. He graduated as the Susquehanna Valley League's all-time leading scorer. He was also a 3-year member of the track and field team at Southern Columbia. At Lycoming College in Williamsport, he competed in both basketball and track and field in the 4 years he was there. Please welcome back to Southern Columbia our next inductee, Denny Schmidt.
Thank you very much. I think I'm the oldest inductee. I don't feel that old, but truly, that's a long time ago, 49, 50 years ago. And it's a great honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's funny, when I was invited to come here, Jim called me, and we live pretty far away, and my parents moved out of the area, same as my sister and brother, and I haven't been back here in a long time. And we live in a metropolitan area, and we got to talking, and I thought, there's one game special in my life that we played, and I scored a lot of points, but that wasn't the issue. The issue was that we won this game, and I'm focusing on one game just as a start. The point is that what I learned having a team where you are so instrumental in changing the outcome when you make everyone else better around you. And I found that to be very helpful throughout my life. You know, on Wall Street, I run a branch, I've been there for a long time. And that's what team sports does for us. Here we are all being accoladed. Every athlete I hear tonight is better than the other one. Incredible careers. But look what you've done to other people on your team. If you could be inspirational, even on the young kids running around here tonight, think about that. I mean, I wish every young person played team sports. It changes your life. You don't have to be honored at an event like this. You don't. But you can learn about competition, you can learn about failure, you can learn about getting up in the morning and competing again for the rest of your life. Hell, we just, we have short lives as athletes. Even if you're a professional athlete, it's a very short-lived career. But on the same token, all those life events go with you for the rest of your life and how you treat people. I learned a lot from athletics. I was not a good student at Southern early on. But when I graduated, I knew that I had to apply all those tens of thousands of hours of honing your game to academics. And it worked for me. It changed my life, that I knew I could do anything I put my mind to successfully. And the one ingredient is, and I think it's touched on tonight but not said, is that you can be a great athlete, you can be a great educator, you can be a great manager of money if you truly love it. And at that point you're going through life loving what you do, being inspirational to people, and being successful in your life. Again, it's a great honor to be here. I'm flattered that people actually remember me. But again, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the speakers.
Earlier today, you heard about the considerable athletic exploits of Barry Francis Hellwig. Our last inductee was a teammate of Barry Francis in 2 sports, and together they were arguably the most dynamic duo of female athletes in school history. Heck, they made a winning coach out of Nick Fleming. What a wonderful legacy it is for them. Aaron Spotz was an outstanding 3-sport athlete. In soccer, the 2002 Southern Columbia grad led the Tigers to the state semifinals in both the 1998 and 1999 seasons. She finished her career as the school's all-time leader in career points, 307, goals, 130, which was the state record at the time, and was second in career assists as well. In 2001, she was selected to the Pennsylvania Soccer Coaches Association All-State team. She was a 4-year starter. In basketball, Aaron finished with 1,279 career points, 4th in school history. No Tiger basketball team has ever made it to the state finals at Hershey, but Aaron's basketball coach, Mick, thinks they might have. But the 2000 season, last regular season game, she suffered a knee injury, and I kind of wrecked the team's hopes. But she led the Tigers to 3 league titles in basketball, 2 district championships, again a 4-year starter, also a 3-year letter winner in track and field. Our final inductee, one of the best athletes in school history, Aaron Spotz.
I'm with Mayor. These shoes are killing me, and I can't wait to get home and put on sneakers.
It's already starting? 10 seconds. This is me. It's who I am. Partially why I am the way I am. And my teammates would tell you nothing has changed in 20 years. I'm going to start with this happy stuff so that hopefully this will stop. First of all, I'd like to thank God for this amazing story that I've been given. I want to thank my parents who always taught us that it was all about the effort. That everything in life, if you give it your best, things are going to work out. Maybe not the way you want, they'll work out. They, from day one, drove us everywhere, and 4 kids at times was tough. So we pulled in my grandparents, we pulled in my aunts and uncles. Anybody that could drive got the call. So I'm thankful for all of them and the time and the effort that they put forth for us. Mom and Dad, this would not have been possible without you. To my siblings, which none of could be here today, but without me, Katie and Beach, truthfully, it would not have been near as much fun. We spent countless hours playing soccer and basketball, and one summer, I don't know, rollerblade hockey. We thought that was a good idea. But it all became competitive, and was out there pushing and love and support throughout the years. None of that would have been possible. To my now husband, who I didn't give the time of day in high school, I'm sorry. Thankfully for me, he decided to hang in there and didn't give up. So to Deej, thank you for your love and support and not caring that I'm the one that wants to sit and watch basketball on screens at the TV at sporting events. To my kids, Carter, Cole, and Caroline, they don't get it, and I don't know that they truly will, for a while, but Daddy tries when I try to tell him how to kick a soccer ball or shoot a basketball, and Carter looks at me like, okay, Mom. Alright, thanks, that stuff out of the way. I'd like to thank the committee. Thank you so much for this awesome opportunity, and for everybody that was involved in this. I'm lucky because I get to see a lot of them still on a daily basis. So I get to enjoy that. I want to thank, the school district and the community, and a lot of you guys have said this too. We come from such an awesome place with so much support and so much love and so much Tiger spirit. It doesn't matter where you go or who you talk to. If you're a Tiger, they've got your back and they're cheering for you all the way. 2, my coaches. Coach, I'm sorry that I blew my ACL. I ruined your shot. I truly am. Trust me, if I could have played, I would have played.
You're not forgiven.
I know. Sorry, Coach. But Coach, thank you. Thank you for all the time, the effort, and the fun that we had. Sometimes the good talks, every now and again the garbage can that got kicked across the locker room. But, it wouldn't have been near as much fun without your coach. To Frank, who started the program, and, I'm so blessed now that I get to come back and be a part of the coaching staff, the soccer program. Frank was Frank, and if you ever met Frank, Frank was this big guy, and honestly, when I first met him, I was scared of him. And not long after, I realized that he was a really great guy, and he shared our love for food. There was many a game where Frank was handing us brownies as we were running out to take the field. Just eat it, go, you're fine. Okay. Coach Jones Jones too. I mean, track was fun, and Coach Jones knew it, that it was more something to do, but he always pushed me to be the best, and we always had a good time. Mayor, it only seems fitting that we get to do this together. We've done a lot of stuff together. We're the only girls that ever played in the boys' teams together for quite a few years, and like you said, it wasn't ever competition. It was, let's go out and win. And I know there were games where I was bad, and I was so thankful that you were there to pick that up. And you know, I'm so thankful not just to have you as a teammate, but as a lifelong friend. And now it's super cool that our kids are friends too. So, Jen, it's not often that you get to coach with your best friend, and I get to come back and coach with you. I get to coach with Derek, who the Steins are like extended family, and I'm so thankful, you know, for them, and that I get to come back to a place that taught me so much and gave me so much and coach with you guys. I'm gonna get sappy one more time. I think all of us, you know, would say life has taught us a lot. We learned a lot from sports about life lessons, and I'm so thankful for all of the lessons, good and bad, like Mr. Doyle alluded to. And I ended my career a little bit sooner than what I maybe would have liked after a couple knee surgeries, but all of that has, you know, kind of brought me to where I am today, and has given me opportunities to talk with others and relate with others, and so I'm thankful for that and all of those experiences. So thank you so much to all the other inductees. It is such a cool way to get to come back and hear everybody else's stories, and so congratulations as well.
Well, what a great day it has been, and I really appreciate all the exploits of the inductees, but also your speeches. They were all great. You know, they did a question many years ago of the greatest fears of Americans, what they fear the most. And number one was public speaking. Way ahead of death, by the way. so you did a great job. Thank you so much. Again, a reminder, anyone that wants to nominate someone for future banquets, please do so. There's a number of ways to do it, but you can get a nomination form on the way out. Inductees, make sure that we have your contact information. We'd like to stay in touch with you. Dave, anything else for the good of the order? I'll let you close it up.
All right, thanks, Jim. All inductees, please stay. We're going to get group pictures. And also at each table, there's a centerpiece. There's two more up front here, there for all of the inductees, so please take one of those. And glad we were finally able to make this happen. You look at the success of Southern Columbia history, and there's only one first, and 13 individuals today made history becoming the first to ever put their name on the Southern Columbia Area Athletic Hall of Fame, and that's something that will never be taken from you. We appreciate all the support and want to continue making this grow, and hopefully as the years go on, becomes more and more of a success, and all of you will continue on our journey, and we keep supporting Southern Columbia so that it can continue to build the great athletes that we have in front of us here today. So again, if you could please, as Jim said, write your names down, because we're going to be sending out next year to all the inductees information and you guys helping us with some of the decisions as well with nominees, and we want to keep you guys in touch. So congratulations again. Please stay around for pictures. Go Tigers.